Well, hello and welcome to episode 46 of the danjohnuniversity.com podcast. Hey, as a reminder, don't forget that we're still hosting that special during this crisis, during the lockdown, during the virus. For $29, you can get 3 months at the university. Just type in Corona as you enter the site. Remember, you get 2 weeks for free and then 3 months for $29. I don't think we can go any cheaper. We do have expenses to pay. And I hope you enjoy the workout generator, which is, well, according to some people, changing lives. We have a question from Thomas. Thomas asks a question that it's much more layered than I think a lot of people think. So let's get started. I've noted that women often can do more reps at a higher percentage of their max than men can. And that's very true. Before we even start on his questions, let's make sure you understand that. First off, I think percentages are nonsense. I try to do my best to make that clearly. To me, percents are that classic. What do you mean by that? If you're a man and you bench press 200 and you tell me that you can do 90%, for whatever, well, that 90%, it's 180. I mean, not to be rude, but if you bench 400, your 90% is 360. And if you can do a set of 10 with that, that's pretty impressive. There's no way I could ever use percents in my training. My maxes happen on platforms with 3 judges and a lot of pressure. Some of my best lifts come when I had to make that lift to do certain things. I like the pressure of competition. I'm personally not a gym lifter. I'm not a gym thrower, if you will, either. My best marks come under competition, and I'm very proud of that. But when you say that, and then you do the math, it just doesn't work. I think percents are fine. I guess they have their value, but I have never trusted them. If you read my work, I have phrases like max, sort of max, max, because I'm trying to say that what you do in the cozy confines of your gym isn't nearly what you can do on the platform. One of the things I like what we do at St. Mary's is we strive to get our students to lift in our Olympic lifting meet, which is very important. Same student who on Saturday when I give my talk on percents and this kind of thing, they'll be rolling their eyes because that's not what some Soviet said who probably made it up anyway. And then Tuesday afternoon, when we're at the pub and they're still coming down from lifting their max in front of 100, 200 people with judges in front of them, they'll lean over and they'll say, I understand what you mean about maxes now. But let's continue. What does this mean for training and programming? Should women do more reps for effect? Will they progress well? Say on a 5x5 program? Should they max out more often? Do these differences affect recovery rate? Lots and lots of questions. Let's just get right to the thing first. Even though we're miles ahead, I'm very proud of the fact that my daughter's, Kelly, she's 30. She's been strength training since she was 13. My daughters, their classmates, the women I've coached, they were on very logical step-by-step programs. They were challenged to do the Olympic lifts, the power lifts, all the kettlebell moves. But even with my daughters, we still didn't have their competition lifting. So, well, it was a great advantage for us, obviously. But we still don't have the body of information, the body of training supporting every question you just answered. When I first started coaching women, I used the East German numbers, which was just kind of stupid. But it took me a long time to come up with reasonable numbers for high school girls to lift at. We're probably getting closer, but we need a lot of people doing a lot of lifting and getting, this is the standard for this kind of performance. This is the standard for this kind of performance. So Thomas, we're still moving in the right direction, yes, but we're still not there yet with enough information. Moreover, and I've mentioned this before in my talks on training women, bench presses are still not built for women. They're too high. for their women's lower leg. So you have to, oh yeah, you can fix it by putting their feet on boxes or plates, but that's still, it'd be more appropriate to have a bench that fits. Squat racks often don't have a good range for females' heights. It is nice now that we have the female Olympic bar, but you'll notice with some kettlebells, they're almost impossible for some women to use certain kettlebells, the thick handled ones. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that first. So there's a couple issues floating out there. One is we don't have enough information still. We have a lot, but we're still not there. The second, of course, is the equipment issues. When we get to certain things like training and programming, the smartest thing you can do is, well, and I would say the same for any young athlete, is make sure you're covering all your bases, Thomas. If you can teach the Olympic lifts, the power lifts, the kettlebell movements, basic calisthenics, what you're going to find is what Henninger in the Physiology of Strength found out in the information from the 1940s and 1950s. What you're going to discover is that, and it's kind of like a concentric circle swimming out of, say, the navel. Women can get up to 80% as strong in the hips and thighs as a male. So if you have males who bench 5, you might have females down the road who bench 8. But as those move out, women tend to get weaker and weaker in comparison to men. So the big thing here is it would be worth your time to read the Physiology of Strength. But for example, with this muscle here, the wrist extensor, and this is very important in my world, women only get it 55% as strong as men. So when you're working with a female shot putter, Thomas, or any thrower, you got to remember that on day one, your females will probably be able to do the glide or the new German technique or the rotation without an issue. But when they throw the ball, they might not be there yet, where a young 14-year-old boy might be fine. A 14-year-old girl might need a lighter shot or need just doing some different drills to build that strength up. It's mostly what we need is you to use your thinking here. I think when you asked about should women max out more, oddly, one of the things you'll find is when women, and this is 125 kilos or 275 pounds, what we discovered is that once women, no matter what their size or shape or whatever, deadlifted 275, that is when the leap happened that what we did in the gym impacted the field of play. So what I discovered with women, and this is going to sound strange, but when you do max out, they really like the max out party. I think women and men are wired differently on a few things, understatement of my life, but when it comes to maxes, women tend to like to do heavy days in a group. Now, you can say more often, I think if it's not a competition, I think, especially with the younger athlete, maxing doesn't mean anything. It just means they went heavier than they did before, and that's just learned. But you certainly could stand back and watch women improve almost weekly for a lot longer than most men. Of course, on both cases, men or women, there's going to be that wall they're going to hit. And that's when you have to, change up programming, change up exercises and things like that. Do these differences impact recovery? I've always thought that women tend to recover better from weightlifting workouts than men. And I think a lot of it is because men get a little bit too competitive too early, and they tend to overload the barbell and overwork certain things, and they blow out their recovery by doing a bunch of nonsense. It's a point I made last week. Never, funny word. I'm in a place now where I wouldn't necessarily program bench press and arm work for men, nor will I program ab work for women or flexibility, because men will bench press and do arm work by themselves after the workout. Women will do flexibility work and ab work after the workout's over. I famously told the story of the girl who vomited after doing 400-meter repeats, and after that workout, she did ab work. The vomiting was the best ab exercise she could possibly do, but that's just the way it is. These are good questions. I would just take one bigger step back, Thomas, and remind yourself about equipment issues, and kind of our collective knowledge with women isn't where we should be yet. But I have some confidence that we're going to take care of that very quickly. I'm thinking within I would have said decades ago, and I would have said years ago. I'm to the point that we're probably in a place now, if we had some good writing, some maybe a nice big round table, that we might be there now with enough information to come up with standards and performance levels for females. I think we're real close if we're not there already. Thank you. Our friend Joe asks a question. This was the guy that was using Big 21 as a way to learn the Olympic lifts, which is a tough way to learn the Olympic lifts. I want to report back and thank you for the feedback on my experience with the Big 21 program. Once again, you are right. Oh, sorry. I was trying to be humble. When I hit the 7th workout, I bombed out, missing weights I'd made easily days before, right? I'm guessing my recovery was a big issue since I kind of let it slide the few days before the workout. I managed to salvage a bit of the workout 7 on the 8th workout, but I could tell it was just time for me to finish. As for my results, I am more than satisfied. I pressed 62.5K, just a little more than 2 weeks after I missed 60. I can snatch 62.5, and I can clean 75K, a 10 kilogram personal record. Good. It worked for me as an introductory program, but what I had to do to make it work was a little extreme. Every workout was brutal, and I got a little bit fat from all the food I was eating in order to recover from the workouts. Well, folks, thank you, Joe. That's a nice warning for you, folks. That's why. So, the Big 21 is one of my ultimate bus bench workouts. If you don't improve, boy, we did something wrong. Fortunately, it's only 3 weeks, and that's easy to fix. If you read my work up on the site, Dan John University, I might suggest to you to take one of the easy strength variations next. Maybe just a month or two of that one easy strength for Olympic lifting, where you really just go by feel every day. You might be snatching 40 kilos for 3 sets of 2 and clean and jerking for a single 50 kilos. Nice, easy lifts, but you just keep coming back and doing them, and you practice. This might be a nice tonic for you. If you did that 2 times, the 2 months of that, and then came back for maybe not the full Big 21, but maybe 2 weeks of it, because of your numbers at 62.5, you don't really have the options that you would have, when I was doing 140 kilos, but that might be an idea for you. And Joe, thank you for the feedback. That will allow me to speak a little bit more confidently in the future about trying the Big 21 as a learner's program. We have a question from Nick. Nick says, I'm 46-year-old and have just finished another of your infamous 10,000 swing challenges. I think I've done about 4 of them in the past few years, and I'm always invigorated and re-inspired through the simplicity and vigor of the challenge. That's... I'm going to stop right there, Nick. I like that. I like the fact that it kicks you up. See, I think the same thing sometimes in these silly little challenges. Is the challenge a good idea? The 10,000 swing? I don't know. But after, you seem to pop out. And it's like, yeah, okay, let's go work on my weaknesses or the things I forgot to do. I like that. I will say that I've experimented slightly with the format, changing the number of reps and movements in between swing sets, and sometimes change between a 28 and 32 kilo bell from one workout to another. Beyond doing the challenge as a challenge, could you give me a few thoughts on the value cost of increasing the number of movements performed between swings? For example, in one workout, would doing bench press, pull-ups, and overhead squats of a varying number between sets of swings Paradoxically, I found that sometimes the increased workload in this regard seemed to make the big swing sets even more bearable. Yeah, boy, I tell you, if you can do overhead squats on the 10,000 swing challenge, that's impressive because that is a massive moving plank. Your entire body has to be locked down and moving at the same time. Pull-ups, obviously, there's no issue at all to pull up. The one I do kind of worry about is the bench press, Nick. The bench press is the only exercise that can kill you, and I think that's a big deal. I don't like people who read my work dying in their workouts. And I guess it just happened again in California. When I was young, a guy in San Francisco died in front of his child, and this recent event happened. The guy had his GoPro on, and I know the police officer's father who had to look at the video to make sure there was no foul play, and I guess it was just horrific. If you're going to bench press, I would really prefer you maybe dumbbell bench press, kettlebell bench press, something that's a little bit safer because you're going to be coming into those bench presses fatigued. Now, on the overhead squat, if something bad happens, the bar pops out, forward or backward. On the pull-up, you just go like this. But on the bench press, I just want you to be a little safer. But yes, I think that's a good idea. One thing about this, Nick, is your workout time is going to really get longer and longer. And that might just be a thing that I point out. Maybe it's no issue with you. Yeah, I like the idea. And I actually enjoyed the feedback I got from you here. I like this idea of reinvigorated and re-inspired. That's what I like to hear. It's always about moving forward. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. We have another Nick. I guess it's the day of the Nicks. It's interesting. In my phone, in my cell phone, Mike and Nick. I tell you, I have so many Mikes and Nicks in my cell phone. And enough of that nonsense. My daughter plays volleyball at a school and for a club team, and she loves it. Well, I hope she does. I'm not a big fan of clubs here in the United States. I had my daughter, who is, I'll nicely say 5'3", 5'4", was told by a club coach that if she joined the club team, she could get a Division I scholarship. Well, she did, in academics, and both daughters. But these club coaches, they don't want their athletes to play any other sport. In the one that we had to deal with at the school I was at, the club coaches didn't want the athletes to be involved in student government, didn't want them to do extracurricular activities. In other words, the one chance in your life when you can do a school play, a musical, be in the choir, and a couple other things, they were all against. Some of my daughter's friends went off to school to play volleyball, and they have massive debt because the scholarships often don't cover everything. I know I'm about to brag here, but both of my daughters, and of course Kelly has her master's now, their total debt for college is zero because of the academics. I'm not being a jerk. I'm just saying make sure your daughter does lots of other things. She is big for her age. 13 next month at 5'9". At 13, is she going to keep growing? The joke I used to have when I was at Utah State, they were in the national championships when I was there. When the volleyball girls would come into the room, I would go, "Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you?" So, yeah. And around 130 pounds and wants to get stronger. She has been in the off-season program at school and was introduced to some basic lifts, but obviously that got interrupted with the COVID situation. What would you recommend as far as movements? Yeah, I mean, push, pull, hinge, squat, loaded, carry. Reps and frequency of training for her. For reference, currently she can barbell squat about half her body weight for 8 to 10 reps and can bench press that much once or twice. So she's squatting 65 pounds, which, there's nothing wrong with that. She will be doing sport-specific training, playing volleyball and some conditioning and agility work a few days a week. So I'm thinking strength and training would only be 2 or maybe 3 times a week. Obviously, the main goal is to support her athletic performance and resilience in case she gets injured. I hate to say this, but if she decides to go on to the next level, it's not in case, it's inevitable. The old joke about when you meet a Division I female basketball player, you ask her, about her ACL injuries, and she goes, "How do you know I had one?" Because you're a Division I female basketball player. She would also love to do a pull-up, and she's able to do several regular, not from the knees push-ups, just because most of her girls at her age can't. So those may be good rabbits for her to chase. I have a fairly well-equipped home gym, squat rack, barbells, kettlebells, dumbbells, and a hex bar. So we can do just about anything. I'm sure some body weight progressions would be a good start. Well, listen, it comes down to this, Nick. I mean, that's what the site is made for, is what you just said. Go in there and go to the workout generator, because you don't want her to do anything advanced. You don't want a bus bench program. You want 2 workouts a week. I would suggest maybe program it for the hour. So pick 2 days a week. Pick that you have kettlebells, barbells, squat rack, the whole thing. Pick 2 days a week. And then when it populates it for you, week 1 will probably be like sets of 8, and you certainly can ramp back that push to something simpler. But that's exactly what the workout generator was made for. And I would suggest sticking with it. Use it. Make sure she types in "done" on it, and hopefully she'll follow the whole dashboard and floss her teeth and extend the hand of friendship to somebody and read a good book, because those are the important things too. By the way, I don't mean to come off negative about volleyball or any club sports. It's just that I am also adding these caveats to this. I would love to see her do a general program like that 2 days a week, and honestly, that might be something you two can do for her whole high school career. It'll be great for you, and it'll be great for your relationship. I'm amazed how often my daughters will tell stories of the weight room. At parties, they'll talk about things that happen in the weight room, and they'll get in each other's faces about who's stronger, and those are good memories. So good luck to you, okay? And thank you. James asked a question that I've gotten actually quite a bit in the last few months. Do you see any imbalances coming from just kettlebells for several months since, like everyone, I haven't been able to go to the gym? I've been doing swings, cleans, presses, goblet squats, Turkish get-ups, and weighted carries. Is there anything specific I should focus on when I get back to the gym? I think you have a great program. It'd be interesting I don't know if you've done this, but if you did before and afters, I think a lot of people are going to come on the other side of this thing in far better balanced condition than before. The only thing you could be missing would be the horizontal row, the horizontal pulls. But like in our case, we do them here with the TRX. We do the T's, the Y's, the rows, the I's, and this thing called the front lever, or Mike Browns as we call them. But really, I don't think there's going to be this massive imbalance. You're not, James, you're not going to be walking down the street in circles because you're so imbalanced. I think swings, cleans, presses, goblet squats, Turkish get-ups, and weighted carries. That's pretty good. And I got to tell you, pretty good's pretty good. This is a good time for you to look at things beyond just the weight room. Are you getting your sleep? Are you getting your meditation? Are you reading great books? Are you, James, instead of maybe worrying about what you're missing, look at the opportunities that you have right now. So outside of maybe the vertical and horizontal pulls, and actually maybe if you have a way to test that when you get back, some people have discovered that taking the kettlebell clean and press seriously helps their pull-up. We call it the WTF effect, the what the heck effect. But you might actually improve your pull-up while you're not doing them. The body is a funny thing, and it adapts as it adapts. It accommodates as it accommodates. So maybe those pulls, maybe, but it might not be either. Well, that was a definitive answer. I hope that helps, James. Thank you. Kevin asks a question that actually ties into something I just said. Out of curiosity, are there exercises that improve strength with high reps like the kettlebell swing? Yes. The kettlebell swing improves strength with high reps. I frequently see swing repetitions reach or surpass 100 reps per workout for a variety of programs. Most programs I've seen usually call for 10 to 40, sometimes 40 to 50 reps of an exercise. Okay, I will talk about that in just a second. But I know 100 reps of push-ups is a fairly popular target for young guys, and working towards it also brings some good strength gains. And then he mentions a new book. Let's just talk about reps real quick, Kevin. Generally, those rep numbers are a little bit too high for most people. Generally, most people want to be in that 15 to 30 total rep range. But see, that's 3 sets of 8. That's 5 sets of 5. That's 3 sets of 10. I mean, these are 5 sets of 3. Those are workouts that have stood the test of time for a long time. 5 sets of 5 is a great workout. Those numbers get up in the 40s. Maybe that would be including, maybe that includes warm-ups. But, if you're a barbell or kettlebell lifter and you have the ability to add load, like I remember when German volume training was answered all questions back in, would have been 90, 91. It got invented after that again. But the original, that one woman bodybuilder was doing 10 sets of 10 in the squat one day, 10 sets of 10 on the bench the next day, and just kept going back and forth. And she was using from serious load. Most of us cannot do that. We just can't adapt. We just can't recover from it. 15 to 30 is the norm numbers that have been proven over and over again. Brian Mann did some research on it. They keep proving to be the right amount. The problem with doing 100 push-ups is that you just did 100 push-ups. And, I mean, unless you're in the military and they're making you do them as punishment for being late or not, or whatever, doing all those push-ups isn't necessarily going to do much for you. You can easily do 100 push-ups, but benching 400 is not easy. Can you increase strength with high reps? There's a couple of movements that seem to be able to help there. I like the kettlebell swing done correctly as a pure hinge and a pure snap and a plank. I think the high reps can do some amazing things for you. That by making the butt contract so hard, it puts that hip flexor to sleep. It's a great abs, great for your grip. But other than that, I don't see much value. So think about it this way from now on. Push, pull, squat, 15 to 30 total reps. Okay? 5 sets of 5, 3 sets of 8, whatever you want to do. The workout generator on the site will take care of that for you. When it comes to kettlebell swings, I used to think the number was 250 was repeatable. Then I slid it down to 125, and now I'm thinking 75 to 125 is that repeatable range. Yes, I do have the 10,000 swing challenge. I know that. And that's 500 swings a day for 20 days. I know that, but that's a challenge. That's not something you do every single day. So push family, pull family, squat family, 15 to 30 total reps. If you want a hard workout, do front squats and back squats, 5 sets of 5. One other thing, I think your numbers should be the exact same. So if you're doing 5 sets of 5 in the push, you should be doing, that's 25 push, 25 pull, though most North Americans can use more pulling, and then 25 squats. Push, pull, squat, 15 to 30. For the swing, 75 to 125 is repeatable 3 days a week for the rest of your life. Loaded carries, just do some, and I just gave you a perfect program. I hope that helps, Kevin. You ask some interesting questions. The final question he asks is, are the swing and push-up alone? I have, if you go on my site, type in Coyote Point Kettlebell Club, I have a ton of push-up swing workouts for you. Go ahead and enjoy them. Thank you. We have a question from Pierre. I'm a 40-year-old male, and my main goal is to feel good and stay healthy as I age. That's good. I strength train year-round, mostly with kettlebells. Most recently have been doing park bench 4 to 5 times a week. I supplement this with yoga once or twice a week and long daily walks. Okay, Pierre, you just gave us the perfect program. You're fine. Our summer up here in Canada is rather short. When it comes, I just want to get outside on my bike and ride. I agree 100% with that. I've started using Maffetone's aerobic training, that is near daily long bike rides, 15-minute warm-up, then ride at 140 heartbeats per minute for a while, then 15-minute cool down. Extra long ride once a week, 2 rides in a day once a week. It's been a ton of fun. In his book, he mentions to do this for a few months with no anaerobic or strength training to build the base. You know, that's true, but if you've read his more recent work, he's not so against weightlifting. He was trying, I don't want to speak for him, because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But let's keep going. I'd rather not lose the strength I've built up for the rest of the year, particularly my push-ups and loaded carries, but I'm having trouble finding the time for strength with all this bike riding. I like the idea that you want to keep your strength levels up, but if you're going to ride the bike that much and you just simply don't have the time to strength train, I would suggest dropping the strength training out during the summer months while you have the opportunity to ride your bike so much. Your strength's going to come right back, Pierre. It'll come right back, especially at your age, your youth. Is there any value in short 5 to 10 minute strength workouts post-ride, and how would you structure them? Alternatively, I could do 1 to 2 park bench workouts a week. Stick to yoga for a few months to tackle mobility. How would you play this? I plan to return 4 to 5 strength workouts a week once the weather turns sour. The best thing I would do is, if you can, do the 2 park bench workouts a week where you push, pull, squat, hinge, loaded carry, bye-bye, if you can. Now, I think you want to do the yoga because of all the bike riding. You tend to get a little bit down here like this as when you do all that bike riding. The combination of a park bench workout once or twice a week with a little bit of yoga might really prevent some of the issues that you see with long distance bike riders. You have to make compromises. This is, you're managing compromises right now. Personally, I like it when we just manage options. There's 3 discus throwing techniques, okay? The Utah State, the East German, and the linear. Pick one. That's options. Compromise is what you're trying to do here. I want to ride the bike a lot, but I can't strength train, and so and what I would rather you do right now is slide your managing compromises concept into managing options. And I would just say, now, Pierre, you ride the bike a lot. A couple months from now, 4 to 5 days a week of strength training. Sprinkle a little bit of strength training now as appropriate, and don't worry about it. You're doing fine, and your strength will come right back. That's a good question. Thanks for asking. Well, thanks again, folks, for being here. Remember, if you have questions, send them to podcast@danjohnuniversity.com. I'll do my best to answer each and every question. And remember, don't forget, sign up during this time for the special and type in Corona as your little key. All right? Thank you so much.